I'm going to be completely honest, and I haven't told many people this. I still didn't quite know what tamarind was when I got there.
Hello, print friends, and welcome. This is a bilingual podcast, so if you subscribe to us, you'll be getting episodes in English with me, as well as in Spanish with Ronaldo Gil Zambrano. Together we speak to people around the globe about their practice and passions in the field of print media and multiples. Print friends, I have an exciting opportunity to share with you. Print Austin's famous open call exhibition, The Contemporary Print, is back and better than ever, showing this year in a larger venue, which means even more artists will get to show their work. Applications are open now through October 1st, and the fee is $35 and only $10 for Print Austin members. The top 3 awardees will get interviewed on printmaking podcasts, and everyone who gets in will get a high five from Print Austin director Ben Munoz. Redeemable only during the run of the exhibition. Go to printaustin.org to learn more. This episode of Hello Print Friend is brought to you by Speedball Art Products. Speedball is thrilled to announce that they are extending their range of the beloved oil-based block printing ink. Partnering with Hello Print Friend host Ronaldo Gil Zambrano, they're giving this line a fresh new look. They've launched 10 rich color options in convenient 8-ounce cans. The ink is formulated to be permanent, waterproof, and archival, but provide easy cleanup with vegetable oil. Available now for purchase via Speedball's website. Print friends, did you know that Florence, Italy is home to Srisa? A leading institution for art and design education, it offers highly personalized instruction and experiential learning meeting American university standards for study abroad programs in fine art, liberal arts, and design. Educators interested in teaching at Srisa can lead a faculty-led program utilizing its top-notch printmaking facilities in one of the world's most inspiring cities. To learn more, email info@srisa.org. And don't forget to mention the Hello Print Friend podcast for exclusive discounts and perks. This episode is also brought to you by Legion Paper. Legion Paper is a fine art paper company that represents the best papers in the world. They either stock it, source it, or make it with brands like Stonehenge, Somerset, Coventry, Reeves, Arches, and more. Legion is the best paper resource for every artist and printmaker's needs. Learn more about the variety of papers Legion stocks at www.legionpaper.com. My guest this week is Jake Ingram of Jackalope Editions. We talk about his road from the New York Academy of Art to starting his own studio in Dolly Parton's backyard, creating a printmaking banjo, breaking his vegetarianism while studying at the Tamarind Institute, and learning what the heck even a jackalope is. Hi, Jake. How's it going?
Hi, Miranda. Good. How are you today?
I'm really good. It's very nice to see you again and to get a little view into your shop and your life today. And I'm just really looking forward to getting to know you more and more of your story and sharing it with the Hello Print Friend crowd. Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm excited to do this.
Yeah, me too. Would you introduce yourself and let people know who you are, where you are, and what you do?
Yeah. My name is Jake Ingram. I am a collaborative printer, a lithographer, quilter, jackalope enthusiast. I am located in Knoxville, Tennessee. I am 27 miles from Dolly Parton's home. I live in her backyard, or she lives in my backyard, whichever way you want to look at it. Yeah.
Wonderful. I like this, maybe proposing like a new kind of like measurement system where everyone just relates themselves to where Dolly Parton lives. Like, because you're not saying anymore, like I'm in Washington State. You just are saying the number of miles and what direction you are from Dolly Parton. I think that could be good.
It's like I'm 2 doors down, 5 states away, So.
Yeah. So where did you grow up, Jake? And what role did art play in that part of your life?
I actually grew up in Knoxville.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up here, born and raised, and then I ran away for 11 years. But yeah, it all started here. My family was, I'd say, pretty artsy. My mom, she was like crafter to the core. Like any craft she get her hands on, she was like doing. So she did scrapbooking, crocheting, beading, like puffy paint t-shirts and stuff like that. And then she always had us working. I mean, if she could get a Martha Stewart article and she could read it, she would like have us doing it the next day. So she was very active in arts and stuff like that. And then my dad was always drawing too. So he would like have a sketch. He just like draw on random pieces of paper. And if I was like trying to figure out how to draw something, he would show me or draw it for me. I remember one time he was like teaching me how to shade spheres and stuff like that. But yeah, they were pretty influential, but I'd probably say my grandmother was my biggest influence.
Mm.
She was an enamelist. So she enameled in the 70s and 80s after she took a class at Aramont up in Gatlinburg. And then she ran that as a business up till the early 90s. So then when I was born in 90, she had switched over from enameling to painting. So she did folk art painting.
So I'm afraid I don't know what enameling is. What is that?
It's fusing glass to copper. So poison A and stuff like that. So she had a whole studio where she just we have these pieces of copper and then have I guess it's frit or it's just like powdered glass. And she would do designs and drawing and stuff like that. Incredible stuff. Unfortunately, by the time I was born, she had stopped. She had started painting instead. So my brother and I would just go and hang out in her studio at her house and like paint and stuff. But
sorry, I'm like Googling now enameling, but I was just like, what is this?
it's like enamel, just like enamel paint. It's like the ENAMEL.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, my accent. I sound like I have marbles in my mouth all the time. Yeah, so enameling, ENAMEL. Yep. I just like slur everything together.
It's okay. It's authentic Southern experience. Wow, beautiful.
It is. My accent has become worse since I moved back.
So you said you ran away for 11 years. Where did you go?
I went to college. I graduated high school and was going to go into the art. And the farthest place I could get away from Knoxville was Johnson City, Tennessee. I went to East Tennessee State University for undergrad. Way in 2008. I just really, at the time, I really did not like Knoxville. I didn't want to be here. I hated high school. I was like, I'm so sick of this place. And all my classmates went to UT, and I was like, I'm not going to UT. I want nothing to do with UT, which is ironic because I worked there for a year. So, but yeah, I went to ETSU, and that's where I studied art. Took a printmaking class. It was terrible. I hated printmaking.
Wait, why? What did printmaking do to you?
I took like a survey print class. Like you had to do an elective, and it was dry point and etching, and then a reductive lino cut. And I was like, why in the world would anybody want to do this medium? Why would you want multiples? Why would you want any of this? And about that time, my friends were like, hey, you really like drawing. You should be taking this other printmaking course where you draw on a stone. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll do this because I need another one. But they were like, you're going to really like the professor. His name's John Hilton. And they were right. I totally fell in love with the medium. And John was an amazing printmaking professor. You can't find any information on him, unfortunately, online. He's like he's like me. He's like a big bushy beard and just a bigger guy, like mountain man. And then he makes these gorgeous prints. And they're just like stunning. And it's all like farm animals like roosters and fish. And I mean, you can try to find, he has no website, no social media presence, which is really unfortunate because just gorgeous stuff. But he was a really good professor. And the way he taught litho actually coincided with the same way I was taught litho at Tamarind. And I like really learned a lot from him. And then I carried it over to grad school too. But he was just like a great professor.
Yeah, it's amazing. I feel like those really influential professors or people out there in the art world who just have never put anything of theirs online. It's usually, I think, like more senior professors who are just like, look, like they have the job that they're going to retire from. They don't need to promote anything. They're not looking to show anywhere new, and they just make work. And you just see it if you see it in person. It used to be the way like so much art was made, but now it does seem so unusual, right?
Definitely. The only time I regret is like when I do a lecture or something, I'm like, oh, I wish I had one of John's pieces for my slideshow or something. And then I'm like Googling and it's this little pixelated image. And I'm like, that's not going to help me. So I'll text him. I'm like, hey, John, what have you been working on? And he'll send me something. He was an adjunct though. Like he
Mm.
just was an incredible source of knowledge. I only took one litho class with him. By the time I took litho, I was about to graduate. So I was like, I love printmaking, or I was like, I love litho, but I'm going to put this in my back pocket. And if I ever need it
Mm.
again, I'll pull it out. But already so deep into getting a drawing major, I was like, I'm not going to change at this point.
Yeah. What kind of work did you do when you're doing your personal work? What was your subjects?
It was mostly about my family.
Yeah.
My parents got separated in 2010.
Mm.
So by the time I would graduate in 2012, they had already divorced. And so a lot of the work was about them and my grandparents, because at that point too, all my grandparents had passed away. So both my grandfathers had passed away as before I was even born, and then
Mm.
my grandmother's passed away when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing this like relationship between your idealized version of something and then the reality of them. So it relates to the jackalope.
Mm.
So everybody has this idea of the jackalope as a rabbit with antlers. But in reality, a real jackalope has Shope papillomavirus. This is
Right.
basically this cancerous growth that grows on the raw parts of their skin. So it
Mm-hmm.
grows like inside their ears and looks like horns and around their nose, and then it like strangles them.
Mm.
So it was like portraits of my grandparents holding dead jackalopes. So it was like this sort of iconoclasm. Like it's this image I had of them was broken because I learned about who they were as people. Same with like my parents and stuff like that. So
When they were holding jackalopes, were they, because when you see the rabbits or the hares that have this virus, they're not these beautiful horns, right?
no,
So were they like the idealized jackalope, or were they the realistic jackalope that actually gets the growth from the virus?
they were the idealized version. So it was
Okay.
like old photos of them, their idealized self, holding like the old ideas of what I thought of how like in my mind portrayed them. Like a morning, I had like an obituary for the jackalope. This is like this idea that had lived in my art for 5 years, and it was the death of that. And the title of the show was called No Place Like It, like from the Wizard of Oz, like there's no place like home, installation, stuff like that. And his all
Yeah.
drawing. I think I have one print in there, but like I said, I was not a printmaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you get from a drawing major, one litho class, self-identifying as absolutely not a printmaker, to Tamarind?
I went to grad school.
Huh?
um, I took a year off, and while I was in undergrad, I took tons of figure drawing classes. So I was really enamored with the figure, and all my work was like representational. And I took a year off. I worked at a gas station. I was like,
Mm.
what am I going to do with my life?
Yeah.
And I applied to a bunch of grad schools in New York because I was like, at that point, I knew that I had to get out of Tennessee. So I ended up applying to the New York Academy of Art.
Uh-huh.
So it's a very small school. They take, it's like 100 students, 50 per class. It's only grad students, and it's like an atelier type school. So all it is like figure drawing every day.
I've seen them, they've got a booth sometimes at SGCI and that sort of thing.
Yes.
And it's just this really very traditional, very finely rendered, as you say, like figure,
Yes.
realistic, Renaissance kind of style.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what I went for.
Yeah.
I really wanted that. I think I've always craved this like technical side of art. Like I really
Mm.
enjoy, obviously lithography is like so technical. And so for my drawing style was like same thing. I really just wanted rendering and stuff like that. So I went there, and the first year I got exactly what I wanted. It was all like technical drawing and stuff like that. But I went in as a drawing major again. And
Yeah.
then it came time for the second year, and I was like looking at classes to take for like electives of drawing, and they were all the same class. It was like the narrative of the figure,
Uh-huh.
storytelling of the figure.
Oh gosh.
The figure is a narrative storytelling space. And I was, these are all the same classes, and it's all like article drawings. And I was like, do we not have whatever? There's no like painters were doing like color theory and other stuff. And I
Mm.
was like, I wanted to do something cool. So I actually lived with my friend Jessica from undergrad, and she had graduated from the academy as well. And she was like, Jake, you're a printmaker. She's like, you need to get back into printmaking. And I was like,
What do you think she
no.
saw in you that she just pegged you? Like she was like, this guy's a printmaker.
She did. She was like, you have to get back into printmaking. So I ended up signing up for another etching class. And I signed up with, his name is Fred Mershimer.
Oh yeah,
Fred.
I do. Yeah, yeah, mezzotint artist.
Oh my God, the most
Like
gorgeous mezzotins.
yeah, like just and I feel like another example of some of those sort of like old school kind of genius guys who's just Fred does not have an Instagram. Okay,
Now.
he does. Oh gosh,
He
good for him.
does. But at the time, no, he had no Instagram and he had a flip phone. That was the only way to get in touch with him. I think he also had a landline, and sometimes I have to call him on his landline. Yes. But he changed my mind about etching because I was like over etching. I was like, no. And he presented printmaking, and again, in a technical way that I liked. And I was like, okay, I understand it. Because he just sat down and explained it. But what I liked about him too was that he would like have real conversations with us. Like other professors would be like talking about pure academics, or they'd be like talking about galleries and gallery shows. And then Fred's like, how are you going to sustain your life after you graduate?
Yeah.
And that was like really powerful because nobody else was talking to us about that type of stuff. Yeah, so I took his class, and then I took a woodcut class and lithography again. And then I graduated with drawing and printmaking, and I had somehow garnered this reputation as a printmaker that I still don't think I deserve. The Academy kept inviting me back, so they were doing collaborations with artists, but they weren't calling it collaborations. They just were like, "We're going to print for people," and I didn't quite understand what was happening. But because of this pseudo reputation that I had, they kept inviting me back to do these things. So I ended up printing for Blek Lerat, French street artist. He's 10 years before Banksy. So I printed for him. Leslie Dill, we made this gorgeous like paper sculpture. And then Will Cotton, who is like a senior critic at the Academy. He was like one of the biggest draws from me attending.
I didn't know he had a connection there, but like thinking about how he renders his figures, of course.
He's been on, I think he's the board or senior critic. I can't remember which one. He's probably done both at some point.
Yeah.
I got to like grain a lithostone, and then he lived right around the Academy in Tribeca. So I like walked this stone over to his studio, and I was like super nervous. And I like go up the elevator. I'm like dripping sweat because it's like apartments in the same spot. And I'm like, "Here's your lithostone," and he's like, "How are you?"
I'm sorry, Mr. Cotton. Here's your piece of limestone. Yeah,
exactly. It was like one of those things that I knew how to print, and I was an okay printer, but then I didn't know how do you curate a print, and how do you do this, and how do you do that. And I had the old Tamarind book because John Hilton, he talked about Tamarind all the time. He was the one who like first introduced me to all that stuff. And I had the old Tamarind book, and I carried it with me all through grad school. And then in grad school, I had heard about Tamarind again. And I was to the point where I was like super depressed in New York. I was in a really bad spot. My friends actually had an intervention for me, and they like pulled me out. They were like, Jake, your personality has gone from like up here to down here. And they're like, what can we do to help you? And they ended up helping me find a therapist, which I will say like therapy is amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah. It just shows you like how much people, I don't know. I feel like my friends just are like my family. Like they really cared about me.
Yeah.
I was like sick of New York, and I was like, what am I going to do with my life? And I had just come back from Tennessee from a wedding. And I was like, okay, this is it. I have a timeline now. I was like, I'm going to be out of New York by June. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to be gone. And a friend had come up, and she wanted to go see the art fair, and Tamarind's booth was there. And I think they had the Judy Tolestiva. I butchered that, I know. I'm not talking about. There's 4 prints, and they're very long, and they're like natural. It's like maybe like the cheesecloth and stuff. So they had those 4 prints, and I walked in the booth, and I was like, I want to do this. I want to be here every single day making a print. This is what I want to do with my life. And so I talked to, I'm pretty sure it was Diana. And I think it was like one of her, right when she first got there, I just went up to her. I was like, I'm coming to Tamarind. And she was like, She goes, "That's nice, but it's like an invite only." I was like, "Not as an artist." I was like, "I want to come as a student." And she was like, "Okay." Um, I was like, yeah, I was like, "Oh, okay." I botched that, didn't I? But I went home and I immediately started working on my application. I was like, all right, we're going to do this. And then I like second guessed and I got the application in. And at the same time, like a teaching position had opened up. And I was like, one of these two things are going to pan out for me. And it was Tamarind. So I found out I got it in February. And then I was like packing up everything. I was out of New York by June. I ended up going
Mm.
to Denmark for a month
Oh,
to teach a
lovely.
class with Gutenberg Arts. So like I went with Russ Patofsky and Rob Swainson of Prince of Darkness.
Hmm.
And with three of us were in Denmark teaching a giant woodcut class, a steamroller. And then I came back. I had 2 days in Knoxville, and then I drove from Knoxville to Albuquerque. I found an apartment 1 week before Tamarind started.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I really planned it out. So
Yeah, no, I definitely believe though in the power of moving towards what opens for you. And if you can do that, if you can be in Denmark for a month and come home for 4 days and drive across the country and then find an apartment, like that is a path opening for you. That is you not finding resistance on the way to
yes.
where you're supposed to be. Yeah.
I always say that July and August are the best times for me to like make large life decisions. That's usually when things pan out. So it was like leaving New York, moving to New York first, leaving New York,
Hmm.
going to Tamarind, and then coming back from Albuquerque. That's how I found my first studio in Knoxville. Like all those things just happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And so
But
tell me about your time at Tamarind because it sounds like you'd spent a lot of time really training as a fine artist who is working with their own work. And of
yep.
course, you had some collaborative experience with some like really like senior well-known artists, but it sounds like just a touch. And so now and I do know that like, in the Tamarind program, you do make some of your own work as well, but really the whole focus is to get these students ready for collaborative printmaking. So tell me about that time and that kind of shift in maybe how you're thinking about making.
I'm going to be completely honest and
Uh-huh.
probably haven't told many people this. I still didn't quite know what Tamarind was when I got there. I was like in Denmark and I was doing drawings. And I'm like, I'm
Uh-huh.
prepping for Cameron because I'm going to make prints.
Right.
And then the first day of class, Brandon was like, this semester is about building your skills. And then next semester will be collaboration. And I was like, oh my God, can I collaborate? Can I do that? Which I found out I could. So my experience was pretty much like everyone else who's come on to your podcast and talked about it.
Mhm.
They talked about the first semester builds up your strength, and the second semester like working with people and figuring out like how to translate their ideas into prints. For I will give two pieces of advice.
Definitely,
For
please. At least two. Yeah.
yeah, if anybody's like looking to apply, one, wear comfortable shoes.
Okay.
That's I wore Chucks the entire time the first year or semester. My feet hurt so bad.
Oh my gosh. But you looked
um,
good, I'm sure.
I was coming from New York. I was like, I have to look good while I'm printing. I was like, no, I need some, I need arch support. My second piece is advice is always take care of yourself.
Mm.
So, or I came to Tamarind, I was a vegetarian for 3 years, a very poor vegetarian. I was just like not really taking care of myself,
Yeah.
scrapping stuff. And then, so we're getting through the projects, and then we get to, I think it's P10 where you use the giant roller. And I
Mhm.
was like, okay, and my muscles were so weak. I was so weak and it was embarrassing. But we were doing like an intense day of proofing, and I was working with Christine Adams, who she ended up getting the second year with me. And this is the only time that we worked together. So we're going through this like proofing day, and like her stone had fossils in it, so she was having trouble.
Mm.
I was trying to print a transparent flat next to an opaque flat, and we were having like sponge streaks and all this other stuff. And we just had an awful day.
Mhm.
And then finally, Christine was like, "We got to call it." I was like, "Okay." So it's 10:30 at night, leaving Tamarind. I haven't had like real food and I don't know how long, and I'm like starving. So I go to Smith's, which is the grocery store, like Jennifer Coolidge, where she's like, "Oh, it makes me want a hot dog so bad." I'm standing in Smith's and I was like looking at the hot dog aisle. I was like, I'm gonna fucking hot dog. And I like grab a pack and have a 6 pack. I like run home and I'm like so excited. I've got these hot dogs. I haven't had a hot dog probably in 3 years. And I
Mhm.
like I throw it in my pan because I didn't have a microwave. And it's like starting to cook and I can see it's brown on one side, I flip it, it's brown on the other side. I'm like, it's ready. The into it's like cold. And I was like, shit. I was like, whatever. So that broke me vegetarian. And then I got some protein. I felt better about printing and stuff. Take care of your
Yeah.
body. That's really important.
And
So
it reminds me of, so I was a vegan when I was in Bangkok. And it's like a huge city, right? It's 10 million people. So you can get any food anytime you want, day or night. So you have a huge variety of things to choose from if you want to be a vegan. And then I moved to Santa Fe, so like pretty close to Albuquerque where you were. And I just was feeling like really bad. And I went to go see a Chinese medicine doctor because that's just me. That's a hippie. I go see Chinese medicine doctors before Western doctors always. And she said, like, you can't live on plants in the climate of New Mexico. She was like, it's really dry, it's really high, and it's really cold. She was like, you need to start eating some meats. Basically, it was like her prescription, because I think there's something to that, is that like when you're somewhere like warm and like soft and humid, and it's like the plants around you are making big, beautiful fruits naturally all the time, it makes sense to eat a bunch of vegetables. And then you go to these like windswept plains and like your body is, I can't live on this. Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I
So
think it
I
totally makes sense.
also, had my vegetarianism broken by moving to New Mexico.
I guess Valkyrie is the only vegan I know then that can
Man,
survive
I
because
wonder how she
she's
does
really,
it.
I don't know. She's always making amazing food though. So vegan, vegetarian, and do tamarind. It is possible. You just have to be a really good one.
Right.
I was a very bad vegetarian. So
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So it's just, take care of yourself no matter what it looks like, whatever path you're on.
yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes you need
definitely.
a green chili cheeseburger.
Totally. So tell me about like that kind of second year at Tamarind a bit, because I feel like it's I don't want to be too dramatic about it, but like it's legendary in the print world, but it's a really rare opportunity. There's just a handful, like two people every year. And so how much did it differ from the first year for you? Are you just like pretty much thrown in, you're in the deep end, you are producing editions now with the artists who are coming in? Is that right?
It was definitely just like off the deep end day one. Day one, we had an artist, Mark Mulroney. He had come
Mm-hmm.
in and he was like, he had been to Tamarind before, so he knew what he was doing. So that was like nice because there wasn't as much pressure as trying to explain everything to him in the process. And then he wanted to do a Batman print and it never got published. And he was like, I have this idea. He's like, I want people to draw Batman. And so Valkyrie gave Christine and I the little paper cart from Tamarind, and we taped an aluminum plate to it. And then the three of us like walked around UNM and down Central Avenue, and we were like having people draw Batman. And everybody was like terrified. They're like, "What do you want from me?" And Mark's, "Did you draw Batman?" And they're like, "No." And then like homeless people were like looking at us, and we were like, "Okay, let's go back." So for first artist, you're like, okay. Thankfully, it was something safe. Like I said, he knew what he was doing, so we weren't just like completely thrown to the wolves.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it is. You're just like immediately you get in and you just start printing and you're working with artists, and the vibe is different because it's you do go from like a learning environment to all of a sudden you're working for Tamarind. You're part of the team.
Yeah.
You're like going to employee meetings and you're doing stuff, and really it's you are a team. And that's always what I try to tell people is that you're not making a print for yourself, you're making it, you know, for Tamarind, for the artist. So it's like sometimes there's days where you might be prepping paper for someone. I would prep paper for Valkyrie, and then Valkyrie would like mixing for me, and Christine would
Mm.
expose a plate for Valkyrie. And there would be days that all three of us were on a press together. And then there's some days you can see like how much teamwork there is. Cause if you go back on Instagram, there's a video of Christine who was like, she was shorter than I was, and she was like on a step stool, but she couldn't quite get the roller over the plate. The plate was so large. So she would go pass the roller towards me and then I catch the roller and then hand it back to her at the end of
Oh,
her
wow.
pass. So
Yeah.
I mean, it really is teamwork, and you're like just building on that. But you learn a lot too. It's like Brandon teaches you so much. And, what I learned from Brandon, I took over to Valkyrie, and then Valkyrie taught me her ways. And then when I left Tamarind, I took both of what I learned plus the other stuff that I already knew and then combined it all into one. And that's like how I print now. So I had a mix of everything.
Yeah, definitely. Because with your own shop, though, it's just you, right? You don't have someone to pass the roller to. So tell me about starting Jackalope and how and why and where. Yeah.
Yeah, so I completed the second year. So Christina and I ended up road tripping back from Albuquerque, and she moved back to New York, but I wasn't sure what I was going to do. So I ended up getting a press for free
Oh, nice.
from Western Carolina University. Found
Uh-huh.
out from another Tamarind person, Perry. He was like, "There's a free press. You just got to come get it." So I actually was like 1 month into my apprenticeship, and I left Tamarind to go pick up this press. I took a red eye from from Albuquerque to Atlanta, rented a car from Atlanta and drove into North Carolina, picked up the press, my dad and my brother, and we picked up the press in North Carolina, and then we drove back to Knoxville. And at
Okay.
that time, my brother had decided that he ended up breaking up with his girlfriend. And he was like, "How do you feel about roommates?" And I was like, "In what capacity?" So he ended up being my roommate. So we had driven. So he moved the press, and then the next day we drove 2 days back to Albuquerque, and I went back to work on Monday.
Mm.
So that's all precursor before I left Tamarind. So all of this was sitting for
Yeah.
me in Knoxville. So I moved back to Knoxville, and I got depressed again.
Mm-hmm.
I was very sad. I moved back in with my mom and my brother at the time, and they would go to work, and I would just lay on the floor in the basement for
Oh,
a month
Jake.
because I was like, "What am I going to do with my life?" And like Christina was still printing in New York, and everybody was still at Tamarind and Albuquerque, and I was like, "I'm back in Knoxville where I did not want to be."
Yeah. And at this point, did you
Uh,
have you had the press though, right? That you got for free, but it just was like in storage or in the basement or something?
it was in storage at my family's farm, so we had a farm, and it was in one of the old buildings, and it was just sitting
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
So I was like, I looked around and I couldn't find any studio spaces. Everything was
Mm.
full.
Mm-hmm.
Knoxville had grown so much in the 11 years I've been gone. I was surprised. I like came back and I was like, I didn't even recognize the city. But I looked for spaces forever. And I ended up getting a job at UT. So I was their print shop technician for a year. That's probably
Yeah.
one of the best things that ever happened to me. And I'll probably be the only person that ever says that. I could be wrong,
Yeah.
but everybody left the studios because everybody was terrified to be around. So I ended up leaving my job at UT and working
Mm-hmm.
for another smaller company. And he was like, my boss there, it's just me and him. And he was like, there's a space over at the ceramic studio, Mighty Mud. He's like, you should go check it out and see if you can get your press in there. And that happened in July, August, my good months.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, I'm excited
And
to see what's going to happen in 2024. Yeah.
I know, right? And I went over there and they had a space and it was 12 feet by 16 feet and they had a loading dock and I could get the press in. And I signed the lease on the spot and I moved into Mighty Mud. And so I was a
Wow.
ceramicist. Yeah. And basically I was in Mighty Mud for 3 years. It was great. I love the community. I realized how much the similarities between like ceramicists and printmakers, like
Mm-hmm.
as community based arts, like, oh my God, they're my people.
Yeah.
um,
We need specialized equipment and you got to know how to share. Yeah.
exactly. And they were great. They just like, they were curious about what I was doing. And then I ended up working with some of the artists from over there and they were just like really into just being part of what I was doing and figuring out how we could do cross pollination. That's how I met Alyssa Ebinger.
Mm-hmm.
So I was working with an artist, Maggie Connolly, Dr. Maggie Connolly. She has a PhD in ceramics.
Dang.
Yeah, she and I were doing we were doing a collaboration, and this grant came up, and I was like, we should apply for a grant to see if we can research doing lithography on ceramics.
Okay.
And I reached out to Brandon, and Brandon's like, you need to talk to Alyssa. And so we ended up linking up, and I read her research paper from Tamarind. And I was like, we're going to apply for a grant. Could we bring you out? And she said,
Mm-hmm.
yes. We ended up getting the grant and we were able to bring her out. And she came out for a weekend and taught Maggie and I how to do this process. And then we took that process and taught a class with the Bottom, which is like a local black arts bookstore. They're
Hmm.
like revitalizing this sort of area of Knoxville for black creative people. And because of that grant, Maggie actually got another grant to create a ceramic studio for them. And now they're trying to get printmaking started. So
Yeah.
yeah, we just got the ball rolling on all that stuff.
And so you said you were there for 3 years. You're not there anymore though. You've moved, yeah?
Yep. I moved. So unfortunately, the space that Mighty Mud was in, they were renting from.
Okay.
And because of the continued growth in Knoxville, um, they had to move. The area that we were in has slowly expanded. There's 10 breweries, and you can throw a rock and you can hit a brewery. And they've closed a lot of like the charming parts of that area. And it was a hard decision. So last year I was actually the artist in residence at Mighty Mud. So I was like working on combining ceramics and lithography and slip casting litho stones and all sorts of weird things. And at the end of my residency, I was like, I had to make a decision if I was going to go to the new building, which was not climate controlled. And I was
Mm,
like, I really need some sort of climate control, I felt.
yeah.
But at that time, which happened to be in July, August, a space at Relay Ridge opened up. So Relay Ridge is like up the road from where Mighty Mud was. And they house Knoxville's first community print shop. So I ended up signing a lease here. And so now I'm up here.
Nice.
And the community print shop is right next door to my studio. So now I'm teaching workshops there and then doing stuff in my studio.
Oh, that's so cool. And of course, you were going to name it Jackalope Editions because it's the theme, right, in your life. So that probably wasn't a hard choice, I'm guessing.
Nope. That was easy. That was a no brainer. The whole thing with the jackalope started. Do you remember Billy the Big Mouth Bass?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So there was a jackalope version named Jake. And as a kid, I was like, oh my God, it's got my name. And I begged my parents for it. And my dad finally surprised me for Christmas and was like, here. So that's my personal chop, is that guy.
That's
So
great. I was going to say, it's nice thing is you've got a built-in chop too with something like that.
yep.
Yeah.
I like debated because I was like, I always find four-leaf clovers. So it was like rabbit's
Oh.
foot, four-leaf clover, or the jackalope. And I was like, I got to go with the jackalope. So
See, that's it. So our accessibility coordinator on the podcast who does all of our Elizabeth, she finds four-leaf clovers everywhere too. I have never once in my life. I really do think that there are people who like they're drawn to that somehow. Never
yes.
once. I've never even seen one in person, I swear. So
No,
yeah. Yeah, I think it's
come to
significant.
Knoxville
So
and before you go to
yeah.
Thailand, and I'll show you.
So you start Jackalope Editions, and I assume you
Mhm.
start inviting artists in, you start this collaborative process. I'd love to hear just how do you approach collaborations? I'm sure it varies from artist to artist, but one of the things that I think so interesting about collaborative printing in the model that it mostly gets used in, you need all these technical skills, right? You need all these tricks of the trade, all these different ways you can work the stone, the ways you can like romance a stone if it's acting
Yes.
up. But you also need to have a certain set of social skills as well, too, because you need to develop that trust. You need to be able to read an artist and I would imagine be really flexible in terms of how you communicate as well. So, how do you even begin when you've got an artist who's going to make something with you?
It usually depends.
Yep. Uh-huh.
I guess it depends on how I find the artist. Most artists have come to me, they're either friends or friends of friends. That's how
Okay.
it got started. Actually, the very first collaboration I attempted, I feel awful about this one because it was still 2020 in the pandemic. He was the brother of one of my friends from ETSU. And I was like, okay, come to the studio, wear a mask. I'm going to give you the supplies and we'll talk about the process. And then I'm going to give you aluminum plates and you can take it home and draw. So I gave it to him and he like took it home and made this gorgeous drawing. It was just like incredible. I was like, oh my God. Because I saw his work online. I was like, I have to work with him. So he brings it back and it's still the pandemic and we're all still trying to wear masks. So he's sitting in my studio and I like go to process it. First etch looks good. I go to roll it up and the whole damn thing just drops out. And I had never seen anything like this. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh,
And he's like sitting there and
Jake.
this is just like first print. And I'm like, oh my God. And I like start sweating. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. I'm like, I know how to fix this. I'm like, I'm only a year out of Tamarind. I know how to do this.
Yeah.
I couldn't save it.
What had happened? Did you figure out like what had gone wrong, or is it still a
Yeah.
mystery to you?
That's the nice thing about Tamarind, right? Is like you have the Tam fam. So you at any point you can reach out to the Tam fam and they'll happy to troubleshoot with you. So I called Brandon. I was like sending him pictures and he goes, "What did you do?" I was like, "No." And I think I texted Valkyrie too, and she's like, "What did you do?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know. I really at this point I can never save it. I counteretched it and like I had put in shellac and I took the shellac out and I did everything I knew how. I like fed it grease. I was like romancing the plate. I was like, come
Yeah.
on. I was like, you need some grease. And it was like, no, not today.
Wow.
um,
Is
yeah.
this still a mystery to you then? Like exactly what went wrong?
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like, yeah, I used to live in Thailand and I may live in Thailand by the time this episode comes out. But there's this idea that I've always really liked in Thai culture that you can actually use up bad luck. So
Oh,
if
yeah.
something happens to you, like it's like emptying out your coffer, right? So if something happens to you that's really bad luck, like people will say, "Oh, you used up your bad luck, so like you're gonna be lucky for a while." And so I like this idea of like your very first try, like you just used up a lot of print shop bad luck on that first print,
Yeah.
hopefully.
I knock on wood and I'm like, I want Andy to come back and make another print. We just haven't got our schedules to line up. And
Yeah.
I felt bad. I was like, what a horrible first way to make a print. Every artist is different. He was like, unfortunately, like kind of the guinea pig. I think it just depends on what the artist wants to do or how I find the artist. I really like the people that are going to like make me think outside the box.
Mm,
So I've made two banjos. I haven't made the banjos
yeah.
personally, but printed on the banjos. And that was through my friend Kevin Zollinger. He approached me because he had seen on Instagram someone who had done a banjo, but the headstock was an etching,
Uh-huh.
but he didn't know it was an etching. He was just like, he's look at this piece of metal. It's really cool what they've done. I was like, Kevin, I know how to do that. I was like, that's printmaking. And I told him, I was like, we can do it, but we can do it as a lithograph. And he's,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that means, but okay. And then once I committed to it, I was like, oh shit, I have to actually come through on this. But the banjos were woodcut. And then we did print them and I have the prints. We just haven't figured out what to do with the prints yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came up with the idea to shin collate a lithograph into the head of the banjo. And then he took the rest and he finished up the banjos and they're functioning instruments.
I got to see them at Print Austin and even hear one played. I
Yeah.
feel like that was just a random passing banjo enthusiast was able to take one off the wall and do a little ditty. But yeah, they're beautiful objects and really I've never seen anything quite like them. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just like, we could do it. And we did it. I don't know. That was like, that hasn't been the most challenging project, but because I
Yeah.
didn't have
What
to
would
make the banjos themselves.
totally? What would you say is the most challenging project Jackalope Editions has taken on?
Tatiana Potts, you know her work?
I do. I actually was on a panel with her at SGCI Wisconsin or
Oh, yeah.
Madison, I think. The interiors of SGCIs run together a little bit, but I definitely was on a panel with her at one point. Yeah, I know her work. Yeah.
She approached me and she wanted to just learn plate lithography. And so I was like, well, why don't we trade? I was like, I'll teach you plate litho and then we'll make a print. And so we like started as like a diptych. And I was like, Tatiana, and they think while we were like printing and stuff like that, she eventually, or one of, I can't remember who, maybe it was me. I was like, your work is always books. I was like, why don't we make a book? And we're like, we'll make
Oh.
two books.
Uh-huh.
And then by the time we finished printing both sides of the diptych, I was like, why don't we make an edition of books? And it was a 2-year project.
Wow.
And it's a pop-up book and it's gorgeous. I mean, she is incredible with book arts and she understands how to fold paper and everything about it. Yeah, that's probably the most challenging project just because we were just like, we'd sit in my studio and cut book board and we'd be cutting the prints. And then we just take 3 months off because she's teaching and I was like
Mhm.
working and yeah, just come back together whenever we
Yeah.
could. But we finally
Yeah.
finished
Is
it
it?
last summer.
I was going to ask. Yeah. So it's finished now. Yeah.
Yes, edition of 17.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
we went a little nuts, but it's totally worth it. It was a great learning experience too for me. So
Yeah, totally. So you may have said this, I missed it, but what year would you say you opened sort of Jackalope Editions? And so, like, how many years has it been going on?
going on 4 years as of August. So
Okay.
August 2020 is when I opened. I had a artist in Canada who I'd worked with at the academy. She and I are both alums, and she had contacted me before COVID and was asking me if I could print something for her.
Mm.
And I said yes. And so she shipped her studio floor to me.
Her what?
Her studio floor. She is a
As
sculptor.
in the floor of her studio?
Yes. She lays down big pieces of plywood and then she like casts. And as she's casting, like there's spillage, or she'll lay a container down and then she picks it up. And then when she does that, it leaves these cast impressions.
Mm-hmm.
So when we were both living in New York, she had cut them down and I printed a couple as collagraphs.
Mm-hmm.
So before the pandemic happened, she reached out to me and she ended up shipping them to me. And then about that time, pandemic hit, everything slowed down. So she's technically like the first project I worked on as Jackalope Editions. So
That's so cool. Oh, that's
yeah,
really cool. So you're coming up on your lucky 4-year four-leaf clover anniversary.
right.
What would you like for the next 4 years or the next 5 or 10? If you're putting out in the world how you want to see this grow.
I would just like to do this full time. I just want to
Yeah.
be here in the studio every day. I want to get back to what I was doing at Tamarind, where I'm in the studio printing and working for artists. And that's what the goal, that's the major goal.
Yeah.
I want to do more art fairs. I did Print Austin this year. That was the first time I've ever done a print fair. So I'd like to do another one of those.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got a lot of exciting things coming up. I'm like already thinking about the 5-year anniversary. So I'm like getting in touch with places to start displaying those prints.
Cool.
Got a lot of editions in the fire. I have an intern this summer.
Oh, congrats.
Thanks. I'm so excited. She's from UT. I created a special thing for her. She was able to write like an internship through the university. So she's going to be the first recipient of the JUMP program,
Okay.
the Jackalope Undergraduate Master Program.
Shut up. That's so cute. That's so cute.
She approached me because the woman who took my job at UT, she's actually a studio mate here at Relay Ridge, Alicia Mann. She was like, she told the student, she was like, you need to talk to Jake because you really like lithography and you really like collaborating. And so I met my intern Grace and I told her, I was like, if you want to go to Tamarind, I'm going to help you get to Tamarind and you can, I was like, I don't have a lot of money right now. I can buy you lunch or dinner.
Yep.
Maybe both. And I can get you a printer's proof for everything that you helped me with because I appreciate the help. But she's coming this summer and she's going to help me. I got 7 editions I'm trying to get through.
Yeah.
And then I have 3 artists coming. So.
Well, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
And Jake, where can people find you and follow you and see all these exciting things on the horizon?
People can find me on Instagram at Jackalope Editions, Facebook, website, Jackalope Editions as well. And yeah, I think I have a TikTok, but I don't know how to use it. So
cheers. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, technology. So
yeah, it's interesting. I feel like printmaking isn't super suited to TikTok. And I just mean that because it's just so small, so short. Like the things that do well on it are just so short. And I feel like to actually explain or give information about printmaking, it's just like slightly longer than the TikTok attention span. But that's just my pet theory. I don't know. Don't ask me for receipts on it.
I would agree. You just need the ASMR with the ink on the roller.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it.
That's as far as you can get. Yeah. Wonderful.
John Hilton once told me, he was like, and he swears he didn't tell me this, but he said that if the ink on the roller sounds 2 freshmen making out, then you know you're doing it wrong.
Oh my God.
And he swears he didn't tell me that, but I've forever have that ingrained in my mind. So when I roll
That
out
is-
slabs, I'm like, as long as it doesn't sound like freshmen making that.
What an iconic note to close on, Jake. I love this. Thank you so much. It's been just a really fun chat, and it was really great to see you again. And I hope that we stay in touch and see each other somewhere soon out in the print world.
Definitely.
If you like today's episode, we have a Patreon where you can help support our podcast and get bonus content like Shop Talk Shorts with past guests. But the very, very best thing you can do to support this podcast is listen, rate, follow, and share with your fellow print friends around the world. And that's our show for this week. Join me again in 2 weeks' time when my guest will be Chris Fritton, as we talk about life on the road as the itinerant printer. This episode, like all episodes, was written and produced by me, Miranda Metcalf, with editing by Timothy Pauschak and music by Joshua Weber. I'll see you in 2 weeks.